Liberty Blue, the essential New York Rangers podcast. I'm Andrew Chunley, alongside Nick Zararis. And Nick, they're one game away from double sweeping. This is insane.
So the first thing I have to say to that, number one, if the Rangers lose tonight, it is entirely your fault because you have broken the juju.
Oh my God. Okay, here we go.
We have maintained the same. I have maintained the same goddamn routine for 13 straight days now, and the Rangers have yet to lose. You can't play with the vibes.
I changed a bunch of stuff. Like
yeah, you should keep changing things.
I had all kinds of. Well, my change for today is saying that word. Because I've changed so many different things over the course of the past 8 games that the Rangers have played, and they've won all of them. So you know what? It's working. So that's my routine now, is just changing everything and just seeing what else I can change before it finally snaps.
See, now you're a lunatic. You don't have enough respect for this. The other day you text me, well, do you want to do something for the next round? Like, dude.
No, sir.
You do not have enough respect for this.
I will verbatim read you the tweet. The text. I said, let's say hypothetically.
Yes,
sir. Hypothetically, they win. Hypothetically, and we should plan in advance because that's what good people do. Is they plan things in advance. Don't lie to people, Nick. Don't lie to the people like this.
Do not have enough fear.
This is very untoward of you to lie to the people like that. That's crazy.
You don't have enough fear in your heart, Andrew.
I'm a Rangers fan. I'm a Knicks fan. I have more than enough fear and hatred in my heart to fuel a small Arby. Don't tell me how much fear I have when I've seen the things that New York sports have put us through over the past 3 decades.
Acknowledging the goals that they're scoring to win these games or getting them closer to the conference final. Dude, you're not nearly superstitious enough is what I'll say.
Well, that part may be true. You're
not nearly superstitious enough.
That part I will fight you on.
The hockey has been close enough, and that was the prescription. The Rangers play close at 5-on-5, which they've done. Thrive on special teams. Shesterkin. This is not breaking news. If you're familiar with the formula, that's the combination. You get above average goaltending. You're close to 50-50 at 5-on-5, and then you get special teams. You get at least 2 of those 3, you're in good shape. You get all 3, and that's why you're up 3-0 in this series. It's that simple. I know there's a lot of conjecture about possession, game control. It's great Carolina has the puck a lot, but They don't do a lot with it, so it doesn't mean a whole lot. It's very inefficient, and when you take low-quality shots at one of the 5 best goalies in the world without traffic, he's going to stop them. There's a reason pretty much all of Carolina goals have been the broken, ugly neck front deflections or guys banging into each other at the net mouth, because that's really the only way they can consistently generate offense. And it's a lot harder to score that way consistently because that's relying on additional variables going right. You have to be in the right position. You have to win that position. And yeah, there are things the Rangers could be doing a little bit better, but the stylistic worry was that Carolina would be so fast that the Rangers wouldn't be able to maintain the tempo. And Carolina has had the puck a lot, but the Rangers have been able to do enough off of the counter on special teams and keep it close at 5-on-5. I mean, I was talking about it this morning on my way back home. The Rangers are being outscored 8-6 at 5-on-5, but it's really 6-6 because 2 of those Carolina goals are 6-on-5. That's the series right there. It is 6-6 at 5-on-5 and then 5-0 on special teams, 4 power play goals, 1 shorthanded. That's the difference. That's why it's 3-0 right now. If Carolina has 1 more power play goal in there, they probably have a win in one of those 3 games, but they don't. So I do not understand a lot of the, I'm trying to think of the word I would use to describe it. Like confusion. Like I feel like we've reached a point where people have some baseline understanding that possession is good. I don't understand why we can't get from the possession is good to quality possession is good. Like we're going from crawling to walking. I feel like we're missing a step there in the general discourse.
It's interesting that the discourse has gone from analytics don't matter ever, ever, ever. I test all of the time, always, to now that Carolina is in the mix and the Rangers are playing them, it's all about analytics. And the Hurricanes are the best team in the league with the best team to win with the best chance of winning the Stanley Cup because of their analytics, because of their possession stats, because of all these things. It's like there's got to be some sort of happy medium here. Like
Well,
they're
no,
at a,
the underlying numbers tell the whole story. If you go and look at the quality of chances, which expected goals
sure.
tell you,
Oh yeah.
it's 2.61 to 2.57. We're right there. The
Yeah.
Rangers are right there in terms of quality, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Carolina
Well,
has infinitely more possession, but they don't do
yeah,
anything.
exactly. That's the thing is like, you take a look at Carolina. Yeah, they have the puck, but you have to do something with it in order for it to be a dangerous play. You want to throw 70 shots at Shesterkin from the blue line or from the outside, or he sees almost all of them and there's no chance of you scoring on them because he sees them and he's good at what he does. Go right ahead. The Rangers don't care. They've been doing it for 3 games. They've let Carolina do it. If you want to shoot at his pads or directly at his glove for the whole game, be their guest. That's what they've done. If you want to skate around the offensive zone for 3 minutes at a time and then ultimately just shoot at Shesterkin's pad, and then that leads to either a face-off or a clear, Rangers will let you do that all day, every day, because that's not a dangerous shot. Those are not dangerous opportunities. So for Shesterkin, it's literally just like a warm-up almost. It's like, okay, well, I see all of this. There's no chance a normal shot from the point or from wherever is going to beat me if I can see it. That okay, keep taking him. I don't care. The stats look good. Carolina's making Shesterkin look even more incredible than he already is because they're throwing everything they have at him, and he's seeing everything, so he's stopping everything, and his stats look great. Like the Rangers are scoring on their chances that they get, and that's really all that matters. The possession, that's all great and everything, and you want to have the puck more than the other team. Sure, no one's arguing against that, but you have to do something to generate high danger chances when you have the puck. Otherwise, you're essentially just killing time.
It's I'm trying to think of the comparison I made the other day was the football comparison of the 15 play drive where sure you had the ball for 10 minutes, but if you only get a field goal, you only got a field goal. If the Rangers are coming down and scoring touchdowns, you're going to get outscored, and that's been the difference. It hasn't been a particularly there's not a huge gap in play here. I mean, the Rangers have won 2 games in overtime, one of them in double overtime. I don't feel like it's a controversial opinion to say it's been close, but because the Rangers have been better on the margins, that's why they're winning. It doesn't feel like there's this big truth that's not being revealed here. The games are being played. We know Carolina's playoff deficiencies. This has been their issue for a long time, and even with guys having good series for them, I think Svechnikov and I think Gensel have had really good series for them.
Yeah.
But Trocheck and Zibanejad have been better. That was the issue for them 2 years ago. That, yeah, Aho and Svechnikov were good in that second round series, but Zibanejad and Kreider were better. It's really that straightforward. The Rangers may eventually run into the same problem where, okay, it's great Panarin and Trocheck are going, but they're playing Barkov and Kachuk or McKinnon and Rantanen, and those guys might be better. And it's on you to figure out ways to make that work. It's on you to find ways to get more favorable matchups or tinker with your lines or use last change to your advantage to try and get your best guys going. I mean, Carolina has tried to do that. They have put Aho and Gensel out there against Panarin and Trocheck with the idea of, okay, if we can get possession and force those guys to play defense, they can't burn us offensively. And that's great in theory, but Aho and Gensel aren't exactly defensive stalwarts themselves, which has been the issue for them. I mean, if you go look under the hood, especially for game 3, that was the best line in the entire game for both teams, Trocheck, Lafreniere, and Panarin. There's a reason it's worked so well all year, and there's a reason I don't want to say it's unstoppable. They very well could run into a hot goalie or a better defensive pair that's capable of making things happen for them. But if that line is going at 5-on-5, that's enough to keep it at 45-55. And you got the special teams dominance and you got the goaltending. You got 2 of the 3 legs. You're close. You're going to be in every game. You get all 3 legs. You're going to win every game. It's really been that simple.
I was going to say the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Hurricanes are -1 and 15 on the power play. which is insane.
Yeah.
You think about how well their power play went all season long. They have one of the best special teams, both on the power play and on the penalty kill. They were really good at both
Yeah,
the
they're the
entire
only
season.
team other than the Rangers who was top 3 in both.
And then you get to this series, and everything broke down. The penalty kill has let them down. The power play not only has not scored anything, the reason why they're -1, they gave up a shorthanded goal, that 2-on-1 that Kreider scored. I think it was to tie up the game at 1, I believe,
Yes.
in Game 3. That's been the entire story so far. The 5-on-5 has been pretty even for the most part in terms of actual scoring chances and actual goals and things like that. The special teams is where the Hurricanes are just dying and where the Rangers are thriving. The Rangers are dominating the power play, and I mean they're not going to score in every single one of them, but they are generating a lot of dangerous opportunities on the ones that even they're not scoring on. They're really putting Carolina on their heels trying to defend this power play. Meanwhile, on their power play, they're kind of just doing the same thing that they're doing at 5-on-5. A lot of outside passing, a lot of overcommitment or not enough commitment or second-guessing themselves. They're not confident at all with the puck and what to do with the puck once they have it and where to go with it. They're not really sure how to generate offense such that it beats not only the defense in front of them, but also the goaltender. They don't know what to do, and it is amazing to watch just how well the Rangers have invaded their heads rent-free.
Okay, you're talking about this like this is high school kids playing Fortnite. The Rangers are not living rent-free in the Hurricanes.
Listen.
The Hurricanes are a professional hockey team.
Nick, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Like, come on.
The reason they aren't converting these scoring chances is because the Rangers are putting them under extreme pressure on the penalty kill.
Yes.
Carolina is feeling that pressure, and because they are under that intense pressure, because the Rangers are able to get these penalty kill units off very quickly because they have 8 different forwards they can rotate out there, those guys are under more duress than they would typically be. I mean, I feel like Brent Burns has been on the ice for a lot of goals against for Carolina. I feel like the Rangers have done a really good job of targeting him and forcing him to play defense. And when you pressure at the line, and this is something the Canucks have done very well against the Oilers so far through the first 2 games, is that's when possession is most vulnerable. When you first gain the offensive zone with control of the puck, because there's the least space to operate, because you either have to dump it forward or you have to pass it laterally. On the penalty kill, the Rangers have had the 3 guys right on the line and forced Carolina to either go laterally or dump it in. And because they've been under such pressure, they are not making the right choice. It set up directly the shorthanded goal that you're talking about. And because Carolina feels that pressure, you saw them already do the goalie switch just to kind of get something. Whether or not they do it again, whether or not they tinker, maybe change the 11th or 12th forward, maybe you get somebody back in there for Kuznetsov, whatever. I think the big thing for the Rangers now is finding that one last gear. They have played very well in this series. Whether or not they win tonight, not really the point of this point I'm making, but finding that next gear to put this away clean, whether it's in 4 or 5, find a way to get this over with, because you see what's going on in that other series. Those 2 teams are beating the absolute shit out of each other. Marchand left the game last night. Bennett hadn't played since game 2 of the second round. Montour's dinged up. Ekblad's dinged up. There are guys really getting hurt in that other series, and that's not the faint of heart series. And it behooves the Rangers to get out of here. The Rangers are facing their first real, I won't say injury dilemma of the playoffs, but question, I should say, being that Hedl woke up not feeling well and he's questionable for the game tonight. Whether Brodzinski gets that spot and he goes down to the 4th line and Cooley goes back up to the 3rd, whatever, the sooner you wrap these games up, the quicker you can avoid injuries and the better chance you have of being better situated for whomever you're going to play. Because I don't feel like the Bruins are going to go out in 5. I feel at the very least they're going to get at least one more win here. And that matters. The Rangers have been very healthy for the most part this year. And I know that sounds weird to say considering no Wheeler, no Hedl, Fox missing time, Kakko missing time. But they've gotten through 7 games of the playoffs, and this is their first injury question. And then you look at Vancouver and Edmonton and Dallas and Colorado. All of these good teams have guys hurt. This is the first time the Rangers are facing an injury question.
Well, one of what Fox is definitely not 100%. He's still
Yeah.
feeling some of the knee. I forget who it was, but that collision that he had against the Capitals in Game
Yeah.
4, he's definitely still feeling that. He's not moving as well as he has shown in the past. So that kind of shows that he's not 100%. So it's to add to your point, you like we talked about against the Caps, you avoid injury by having to play less games, and if you win the series in 4, if you have to do it in 5, so be it. You avoid playing more games, you avoid taxing the legs, you avoid potential injuries, and also at the same time you can heal. You can rest up a little bit. Now, you're never going to have everybody going at 100% all of the time in the playoffs, especially the deeper you go. There's always going to be people banged up with longer term issues that they're playing through and things like that. But the less you play, the more you can focus on those things as opposed to getting short term band aid fixes while getting back out on the ice and risking further damage that could further hamper your ability to play down the stretch of the playoffs. And also, I tweeted this out the other day. Like the whole rest is rust thing is ridiculous. I think
No,
it's
it
very
isn't.
silly.
I think it depends on the team.
I think it's silly. I'll disagree. Like, could there be very small instances where you come out in Game 1 or the first period of Game 1 and you're slow a little bit? I guess, but for the most part,
I think it depends. I think every team is different.
You take winning in 4 pretty much every time than dragging it out to 6 and 7, and risking those injuries that we talked about. So.
Well, of course, you always want to win in 4, but
yes.
I do think certain teams are better equipped to starting their next series with rest versus, like, I think part of the reason the Bruins beat the Panthers in Game 1 and this part of the reason the Canucks beat the Oilers in Game 1 was the Panthers and Oilers both had significantly long layoffs. We're talking like 9 days between games, whereas Vancouver and Boston had been every other day for the better part of the last 2 weeks. So I think for one game it matters, but beyond that, I don't think it matters.
In either case, the quicker we said the same thing against Washington, the quicker you can get out of this, the more and also on top of everything else we talked about, you have more time to prep for the other team.
Yeah.
Peter Laviolette and his coaching staff have done a really a splendid job, if I do say, of coaching against the Caps, coaching against the Hurricanes. If they win today or if they win on Monday, what have you, then they'll have plenty of time to just essentially kick their feet up and dissect every play of Florida Boston. Whoever ends up winning that series, but either team's going to be so hobbled because you mentioned it, they're murdering each other out there. They're throwing haymakers and massive hits and all these things. They are not healthy. Neither team is close to healthy. This is the prime opportunity for the Rangers. End this series now, stomp on their necks, get out of there, and focus on whatever hobbled opponent you get in the conference finals.
Yeah, last thing before we get out of here. Don't want to do too much, but being that, we have to do a podcast on Monday and got to have something to talk about that we haven't discussed yet other than a game tonight. One game does not make an hour of content, but the one last thing I wanted to get in on here, and I think my working theory about having Wheeler and Hedl around the team being for the vibes, I think you got the proof of that.
Yeah.
I think you got the proof of that Thursday night, seeing Wheeler and Quick on the other side of the glass, banging on the glass, Wheeler in the tunnel, high-fiving everybody as they came down. I said this the other day. I forget when and where I said this, being that I haven't slept a lot the last 3 weeks, but I said something to the effect of, this might be Blake Wheeler's last go-around. He might not play hockey ever again after this year. And having him around and say, all right, we got to do it for him. Looking at the situation Hedl's in, where we don't know what Philip Hedl's hockey future looks like.
Yeah.
This might be it for him. There are a lot of guys hanging around. Jonathan Quick, he signed an extension, but he wins another cup. What is there left to prove? There are a lot of guys on this team who they're close to the end of the road. There are guys like Zibanejad and Kreider and Panarin who have a lot of miles, who have been through these playoff wars. And I think guys like Kreider, I think guys like Zibanejad, I think guys like Panarin, I think there's a real understanding of how difficult this is. And I forget when Lundqvist said this. I forget if it was this year or last year on the TNT panel, but he said he thought they would have been back at least one more time after 2014. He thought that was the opening of a window of, okay, we're going to be making cup finals and conference finals consistently now, because that's what it takes. You have to get to the third and the fourth round every 3-4 years if you want a chance to win this. This Rangers group is one win away from their second crack at it in a 3-year period, which is where you need to be.
Yep.
Whether or not anything manifests beyond a third round, beyond a fourth round, that's ultimately on them. But in terms of like the energy, the vibes, and just an understanding of the mission, they have as much internal motivation as humanly possible to get this done. And I know that sounds silly to say in professional sports. Everybody's motivated. Everybody wants to be the best. Everybody wants to win. But you converge all of these factors, all of the emotional things I just talked about, and you combine that with the career years from guys like Panarin and Trocheck and Lafreniere and Zibanejad getting going in the playoffs, and the third line guys of Kakko and Wenberg and Cooley emerging and showing the ability to control play, and the absolute scars manifesting on that fourth line of guys blocking shots and engaging in shit after the whistle. Shout out Jimmy Vesey. They should have let him fight Kotkaniemi. But you accumulate all of these narratives together and you start to get a very real clear picture of, it's not quite now or never, but it really does feel like this group has something that not every team does.
I work with Antonio Daniels. He is one of our hosts on our channel. And on SiriusXM NBA Radio, and he won the NBA championship in '99. This was his second year in the NBA. He always talked about how, we'll come back. Oh, we're gonna do it again. Guess what? Never won again. That was his one, right? So despite how good the picture looks now, despite how wide open the Rangers window could be we don't know. The future is ethereal.
It's uncertain.
It's uncertain. We have no idea what tomorrow will look like, etc. If not now, then when? We talked about this prior to the playoffs, again, in the first round against the Caps, and I'll bring it up now. You never know when the window is going to look as good as it does now. Right now, they're staring at a Van Gogh painting, and this is the best that it's going to be. If you pass on Van Gogh, the next painting could be anything. Like, yeah, the Family Guy joke of, you want a boat or do you want what's in the box? And you're like, oh, it could be anything in the box. It could be a boat. It's like, sure, but you don't know that. You take the given now because the road is so clear to you to get all the way there. Now it's just a matter of walking the path and getting to the finish line. That's all they have to do. The path is right there in front of them.
And the difference is, I feel this group in particular has a little bit more oomph to them. They have a little bit more confidence to them. And I largely think it is the intrinsic team building stuff that Laviolette has gotten to where there's real genuine buy-in here. And the biggest reason I feel confidence about Laviolette and his decision-making is how he has handled both the Rempe thing and the Trouba thing. I think we were all in agreement that if Rempe's only going to play 4 or 5 minutes a game, he can't play. That's not a knock on him, but you need 12 forwards. You need 12 forwards, and they all need to play. That's part of the reason.
I tweeted this out during Game 3. If Hedl scored that third goal shimmy in front of Kochetkov, you would have seen me on the news, man.
You would have seen people levitating. It would have been the first recorded instance of human flight without wings.
I would have actually. I know I tweeted about ascending. I would have actually ascended.
It's the truth. And I think the way he has handled Trouba and the way he has handled Rempe tells you he understands that this is not the time for the old hockey man bullshit. I think he understands that Trouba is a liability. I need to shelter his minutes best I can. And games 1 and 2 in New York, he did a good job of that. And him and Gus were reasonable. Game 3, Carolina's going to get last change. They're going to be able to get the more favorable matchups out there off of dead pucks. And they are outplayed at 5-on-5, but you can live with that because your other stuff is working. Handling Rempe the way they have, handling Hedl the way they have, handling Blake Wheeler the way they have. Some coaches are weird about that, where they don't want the guys who are rehabbing around the team because they feel like that's a distraction. Whereas with Laviolette, he very clearly wants those guys around as a, hey, if we keep winning, maybe he comes back. We don't actually want Blake Wheeler to play, but telling the guys on the team, hey, you keep winning, maybe Blake gets in a game here, that is the type of stuff you need over the course of a long playoff run, because they're not even halfway there. It's been a month. They are still 1 win away from being halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long, long journey, and it is very easy to get high. It is very easy to get low. The Rangers have done a really good job of keeping that middle ground. It would have been really easy for them to lose game 3 in overtime after the game getting tied the way it did, the frustrating, the broken stick, whether or not Aho played it with a broken stick, it would have been very easy for the game to get away from them right there. But they took a deep breath. They went to the room. They came out and they scored quick. They got everybody to click over to Dallas, Colorado promptly. They took care of business. They take care of business tonight. They earn themselves at least 4 or 5 days without a game.
That's the best case scenario. It is everything right now that could go well, whether it be vibes, whether it be the play on the ice, it's all going in their favor, and that's the most important thing. Is Shesterkin's playing really well, Zibanejad's playing really well, Trocheck is playing really well. That play in Game 3 where he took a cross check from Aho and then turned around and yelled at his face when the Rangers scored. I mean, you can't script that. You gotta have that within yourself to be that petty in order to do that. And Trocheck is that level of petty, and I love that.
Trocheck's gotten to another level in part just by being a hater, in all honesty. The inner New Yorker has come out of him. And it's very funny to see a guy he's
a genuine hater, and I'm here for it. It's great. I love
the Rangers need that. That has been a hole in the Rangers in the playoffs in years past. We've talked about it a lot, that your best player at sometimes has to be a miserable son of a bitch. Nikita Kucherov, as great as he is, part of the reason those Tampa Bay teams are as good as they are is because he's not afraid to cross-check someone in the back and then pretend he didn't do anything. Part of the reason the Bruins have been competitive as long as they have been is they have miserable pricks. Nathan McKinnon is a sociopath. Leon Draisaitl is a miserable prick. You need your star players to have that in them. And you have seen that from Trocheck, and you have very funny seen it from Panarin at points too.
Yeah.
That shows another level of commitment that matters. It is all hands on deck, and they are on the precipice of being halfway there. A long way to go, but you feel good. That's the biggest thing. This has not yet been typical Rangers playoff hockey, which is why everybody I know keeps looking around at each other very confused and we're up 3-0 in a series again? We're allowed to do that? We can win multiple playoff games in a row that aren't 2-1? We can do that? That I think might be the single most impressive thing about this entire playoff run is they're scoring 4 goals a game pretty easily. And if you had told 2014 or 2015 me that the Rangers could score 4 goals a game and one of them would be on the power play every game, I would not have believed you. Sure. The Rangers power play would go 2 weeks without scoring a goal in the playoffs under Vigneault or Tortorella.
It's funny the 180 from those teams with their power play couldn't do anything, opposite. And now it's like, okay, well the so-called...
They used to send Dan Girardi out there on the power play.
They did.
They would send Girardi out there for the one-timer.
I buried that deep in my subconscious, Nick, and now that you brought it out, I don't appreciate you doing that, because now I'm like now the demons in my head are being like, oh, Dan Girardi on the power play. That could happen again. They could send out Jacob Trouba on the power play.
Trouba gets his 30 seconds on the second power play. It's fine. That unit's out there just to get zone time for when it goes back to 5-on-5. That's all the second unit's job is. I'm going to go to the gym, get mentally locked in, have a couple of adult beverages. Hope everybody enjoys the game tonight. If the Rangers win, don't act too insane. You're entitled to a certain degree of insanity.
Would be the first team ever
to go 8-0 to start
to go
the
8-0
playoffs.
to start a playoff run in like the modern era of the playoffs, like
Yes.
because you see best of fives early on and
Yeah,
that kind of skewed everything.
Since they became professional athletes and not part-time hockey players.
Sure, if you want to say it like that, sure.
Yes, because the guys Gordie Howe was playing against had jobs at like Sears and Roebuck after the season was over because they made $15,000 a year and they needed to be able to pay for mortgages and their second families. So
well, back then, $8 got to a 3-story house. So
that's true. That's true. All right, that'll do it. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Enjoy the game. Be safe. All that good stuff.